Yo, what's happening guys, King GBL here, and welcome back to a brand new Group Battle League video. Today I'm going to be showcasing a very strong team in the Catch Cup, featuring Alolan Sandslash, Cresselia, and the big bulky bunny itself, Azumaril. This team went very positive for me, and I think this general type of team composition of one Pokemon that can deal with your Noctowl and Lanturns, and then two Pokemon that deal with its weaknesses, right? So, of course, we're super weak to Medicham, which we see quite a lot of in this cup, Poliwrath, Haxorus. What are those Pokemon all weak to? Fairy. We've got a Fairy in the back, which is running a Playrough and Hydro Pump to give us extra coverage against Steel types in the back, and things like Stinky Binky that you're seeing on screen, which will be absolutely everywhere after today's Go Fest. And then Cresselia, which is a really good strong pick. Grassknot has amazing coverage in this cup, hitting all of the Community Day Pokemon with either Grassknot or Moonblast, which puts you in a very good position and makes it a very good closer. I'm using Azumaril as the safe swap, but you can safe swap Cresselia, that's perfectly fine. I just think I prefer Cresselia in the closing position because of the Grassknot and Moonblast. I think it's a little bit better in that regard. The opponent comes into Medicham, and we're going to look to basically absolutely wall this thing with Cresselia. Now, I am fully aware that some of you may not have this particular setup because this is Catch Cup, and who has all of these Pokemon, right? So just generally, if you don't have Sandslash, something that can beat Noctowl and Lantern, which would be like Dunsparce, Galarian Stunfisk, Sandslash of course, or any other Steel type, they can definitely get the job done here. And then two Pokemon in the back that resist counter, so that could be Trevenant, that could be Jellicent, Frostlass if you happen to catch one, any two Pokemon, any Fairy types. I feel like Fairy types just in this cup in general are very good. You're going to see me making a nice little wait before throwing the move. The opponent did go for the catch, and I think that's super important if you're trying to climb to be able to predict if opponents are going to catch the move or not. Like I said, I'm fully aware that some of you guys don't have these Pokemon, so like feel free to drop me a comment down below if you're struggling for team compositions, or you can feel free to check out the last video where we basically done like a PvPoke team builder and showcase the entire meta. But like I said, drop a comment if you have any questions, like what you can possibly replace these Pokemon with. And if you do want some coaching or help or like some team suggestions, feel free to join our Discord and just hop in and stream. I'm going to be streaming here in about an hour, so feel free to hop in, join us, and let us know what you think about everything. By the way guys, I've made a new overlay for this video and for the new season. I think it looks a lot cleaner. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. Today's question of the day is, do you like the new overlay? And the second question is, are you playing Catch Cup? Are you playing Master League? Have you hit your goals this season? Generally let me know what your plans are for the end of the season, and let's hop on into the video. By the way guys, we've not been uploading as much recently. We're hopefully getting a really good update soon. I'm excited to get back into this game, and well, I've been playing it every day, right, but I've just not been uploading as much. I'm definitely more excited to hop on and just upload some interesting Pokemon and interesting teams. As soon as I hit Legend here, hopefully in the next couple of days, I will be looking to spam out some stupid Pokemon for you guys to enjoy. Some Pokemon that you'll never build, but of course as a content creator it's my job to showcase shit so that you don't have to build it. That's pretty much what I have to do here, so that's the plan anyway. So yeah, let's hop on into the battles guys. We've got Hurricane coming on for you here. We're just going to Moonblast this thing at this point. As you've seen, I think the first Moonblast got them down to like 50%, so by the looks of things you do sort of need to go for two Moonblasts, depending on what the situation is. In comes the Azumaril. Now this thing is on Wild Charge I believe, so this is looking like a tough one. In this video, I actually took a lot of inspiration from Nerds Rising, the way I sort of arranged this footage. I deliberately gave myself a ton of bad leads in this video, just to show you that I had a ton of bad leads with this team, but I was still able to overcome them. Actually, the majority of my leads were bad, and I was able to overcome them, and still go 17 out of 25. I think if you want to know if a team is good or not, play against a ton of bad leads and see how good it is in actuality. Like, any team can run through a team that it's hard countering and RPSing, but if a team's standing up against its hard counters, that's sort of how you know it's a good team, and this team definitely done that for me, which is not always the case with my teams. Sometimes they're just a little bit RPS and you're just fingers crossed hoping for the win, but this team does work very well and it's very dynamic. I think Cresselia is just such a good Pokemon guys. Like, I preached it in that video I made recently, and I talked about it yesterday or a couple of days ago in the Catch Cup meta review video. Cresselia is just such a good Pokemon guys, and you really, like, if you've got a mate who's got a Cresselia who's in around 1600 CP, beg that person for it. It's going to be so good next season, I swear. It just really depends though. We're going to get some new Pokemon next season, and we'll just have to see how the meta shakes up. Definitely I'm personally very excited for Annihilate, which is the evolution of course Mankey and Primeape. So there's a lot of really interesting Pokemon coming, so the meta could be completely shook up, but I still think this is quite a sort of just a nice little one to keep an eye on. Greninja, this thing just absolutely wrecks Cresselia. See, the thing is, I can one-shot it, but like, that thing just spams those moves so hard. The thing about Greninja is, it hits as hard as it gets hit, you know what I'm saying? Like, it gets hit like an absolute bitch. And then comes Wigglytuff, speaking of which. I'm not trying to rhyme, but, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. That was completely unintentional, and because I talk so fast, like, I literally do be rapping out here, so these videos are interesting. The amount of re-records I have to do is insane. These videos can be an absolute nightmare at times. I'm pretty much blue in the face by the time I'm done with these videos. We get another negative lead here, and speaking of blue in the face, it is Azumaril here coming in. And we're going to look to go for Hydro Pump here. Now, I think in this situation, ordinarily, you go straight for the double player off, or maybe like Ice Beam player off would probably get it done if you're running that moveset. But I think because they swapped in late and I didn't get the bubble chip, I decided to go straight for the Hydro Pump, just to land a lot of damage, just to guarantee that they're in play rough range. But I think, you know, as you're seeing, they're debuffing themselves, and generally bubbles add up enough that you can look to basically two-shot it with play rough. So we're going to hopefully take switch advantage here. If we can take switch advantage on this game, this is a huge mistake by the opponent, to be fair. I think they may have been able to get bubbled down, so they come back in with Poly, and they're going to need to throw either a Scald or an Ice Punch. The opponent's going for Power Punch, which is not the play here. The opponent shits their pants and goes for the next move just before we get to the play rough. They do need to go for the Ice Punch still. This will not KO, and we're going to get off the play rough, which is pretty huge. Not only did we take switch advantage, but we're actually getting a shield off the opponent, which is about the best possible scenario. Azumaril can do super well in those situations, and that's why I like it. We're going to come in with the Rubber Duck, and we're going to start slapping away at this Toad. The Toad is going to fire off an Ice Punch finally, but that's not going to be enough at this point. It's too little too late. In comes Noctowl. They were trying to catch the move, but of course we were being patient, and at this point it's just basically game over for the opponent. And we're going to fire off this Ice Punch, which is going to get them to 50%, and we still have a shield, which I think I do invest here. Actually, no, we can just let the first one go. That's perfectly fine. Does about 55% probably, including the Shadow Claws, which of course don't add up too much. We're going to fire for the next move. The opponent lets it go, and they're going to get 1-2 counters through, but at this point, like I said, it is too little too late. We're going to farm up to the back-to-back Grass Knots. This Rubber Ducky is too thick, and it's just absolutely walling this thing. Even though they can still hit us with, like, you know, neutral moves, they might as well be resisted on this thing, and we can look to almost one-shot it with Grass Knot. And we can definitely one-shot it from this range, and that's looking to be a good game. Very well played. And once again, Cresselia with the coverage move is just coming in super, super clutch. We get a really positive lead, and they swap in Cresselia, bro. I'm like, yo, are you okay? What do you have in the back, bro? They just top left. I don't know why I even left that one in. I'm leaving in some funny games here for you guys to watch. But yeah, this meta, I want to have a wee chat about the meta. This meta is a little bit different to what I expected. I was expecting it to be Greninjas everywhere. I was expecting Haxoruses everywhere and Poliwraths everywhere. Poliwrath definitely is everywhere. It is quite a good Pokemon. But I was expecting to see more Spice Picks. Like, the amount of Medicham Noctowl Lantern we've seen is crazy, and we're getting a very good lead with Noctowl. Again, people are sort of realizing that Noctowl's such a strong lead, just because there's nobody really respecting it at the moment. All of these counter Poliwrath leads, Noctowl's just feasting, right? Not against this thing. Not against this thing. The opponent shielded it up, and this might seem like a weird shield because I can live this super easily. It'll get me down to like 50% health. But I just think if the opponent's staying in here, like, look what they swap into. It's just so obvious that this has to be like a very good position for me, right? So I just need to keep this thing alive. I think I go for back-to-back drill runs. I think I would prefer going for the swap out to Cresselia a little bit sooner, because the Grass Knot does about 60-70%, I would want to say. Like, maybe like 2 Grass Knots take it out. That's all you need to know. Yeah, I think I'm going for an overfarm here as well. What I sort of do like doing with Cresselia is going for the overfarm, but you guys need to be careful in this matchup, because if they get off free Thunderbolts, they can just go straight Surf and flip switch on you. The opponent lets it go in that situation, of course, because they don't have a shield. And we can even get off a Moonblast on this Noctowl. Cresselia is just so nice, bro. It's not quite as good as Medicham against Noctowl, but like, it's so bulky. It's probably bulkier than Medicham, so you're still able to eat that Shadow Ball and get off, you know, 1 or 2 Moonblasts if they allow you to, which does get Noctowl, you know, relatively low in a very manageable health range. Now, I'm thinking, like, once again, like, they brought Lantern into this thing. They just have to be weak to this, right? Right? Surely they don't have like a Medicham in the back. And what do you know? It is Medicham. We go for the insta swap into Azu, and the opponent goes for the insta top left. Good games, very well played. We had play rough in that situation, so like, there's nothing they could really do. Even if they were able to take us out with 2 sidekicks, which I don't think even takes out anyway. You know, we were in a very good position there. We go 5-0, really needed that. I was down to 2650, now up to 27, what was it, 23? We're just facing off against a legend player here. They've got Pelipper, which is a negative lead for us, I believe. I think it is, bro. I'm about 99% sure it's a negative lead. Just because Weather Balls are so spammy, I think it looks like a bad lead for me. At the very least, right, it's not a positive lead. So we'll see how we deal with this. I think I do try to go for a catch on Azu. Unfortunately, I do fail to do so, and we're going to have to sit here and eat Hurricanes off this thing. This is a thick little bunny rabbit, and this flying shitter is just staying in here and throwing Hurricanes. I'm like, yo, why are you doing this? What is this all about? Another hurricane, they just want to get rid of me, right? Okay. So you're weak to that thing. So I'm thinking, okay, 2-to-1 shields, Cresselia should be in a good spot here. Maybe they just have like 2 counter users in the back, like flying double counter, we've seen that before. I make a bit of a miscount here and go for CMP, which, you know, if you think about it, like, just get off the move there if you're not sure on the counts, because for the sake of one Shadow Claw, I was forced to eat, you know, like 30-40% damage on my Sandslash, right? In comes 1 counter user and in comes a Wheezing. Not quite what I was expecting. Now we're up to 2-to-1 shields here. This is a tough spot to be in. They're on Brutal Swing here as well in the Great League. I was very used to playing this in the Ultra League. What was it called? Fantasy Ultra, sorry. The Fantasy Ultra, man. Such a good cup. I really hope that's a staple, man. Like, that was probably my favorite cup ever. Honestly, like, that cup was so good. I was climbing really well, and of course, like I said, yesterday in the Catch Cup, I just got absolutely RPS'd into like a -80, -90 day. You know, so like, that was kind of tough. But yeah, this is just a rough core breaker, and this thing's been spawning, or not spawning, but it's been in raids recently, right? So people maybe are building this. But I'm thinking, okay, if we can maybe make a catch here, we could be okay. So we do make a catch. So that's something. That almost takes out our Sandslash. They come back in with the poly and only get 1 counter for him. So what I basically need to do here is be able to outpace the Wheezing. The main problem I have here though is I'm super low. The opponent left with energy, so I can't afford to shield this, unfortunately. I go for the Moonblast here. Maybe I could have tried to go for an overfarm, but this puts us in like a really good farm down range. Now this comes down to what move is this. If it's Ice Punch, I lose. Power Punch, I win. It is Ice Punch, unfortunately. The opponent does go for the correct move. I think the opponent either had a Brutal Swing loaded or was super close to a Brutal Swing. I watched it back, I wasn't quite counting it, but I was pretty sure they were at like back-to-back Brutal Swings when they threw the first one. So they dipped out, you know, without throwing it. They of course threw one on Sandslash and just dipped straight out. So yeah, I think that was just kind of tough there. Hopping in, Sandslash versus Golbat, very positive lead, and we'll see what the opponent swaps into. We're going to farm up to, I think, 6 here before throwing. The opponent does go for the catch, and I actually throw off the move. In this situation, you want to just swap straight out to Cresselia. It's going to take 1 Grass Knot to KO anyway, so that was just a waste of energy in that situation. Now I was sort of committed to it, so I'm like, okay, let me try and catch the move, so I can at least get some energy on that thing. I think you just insta-swap into Cresselia in that situation. They can't really flip swap here because, like, you know, look how bulky this thing. We've already seen 1 Mud Bomb. This is looking very strong for us here. They get us down to about 50% health, and I am going to go for an overfarm. The opponent, I'm basically letting them throw off as many moves as I want here. I just want to come up with a move, just so I can chip down the Golbat and not give them too much farm as well. And like, if they shield this, they're going to have to shield it twice. And I think like, yeah, okay, good thing they let it go. Golbat actually insta-froze the move, which I was kind of surprised to see. Like, we only know resisted moves, so like, that was definitely a big surprise. I do predict the catch once again, and we come into Azumaril. This is just game over at this point. So once again, you're seeing us just RPS backlines as well. The opponent's staying in, they're going for Power Punch. I'm not going to shield the first one. We can comfortably live any move. I think as soon as I reveal Play Rough, they should just top left, basically. But I think this opponent actually plays us out to the bitter end, perhaps. They're going for Power Punch, which I mean, like, you might as well try to play out your win condition, which is to land Psychics. I guess they're hoping that I shield after 5 counters. Like, they're not even farming up to it. You're not farming down Azumaril with Power Punch, bro. I don't care what anybody tells you. They're lying to you, but Ice Punch, that's why. So, like, I think the opponent probably should have top left it about 6 hours ago here. We're going to Hydro Pump this thing, and there's no way they expect it. But of course, they will be expecting an Ice Beam. Yeah, they just shielded up, and we're just going to come in and snipe it. And that's going to be looking like a good game, very well played. I think the Metacham's within 1 Shadow Claw range here as well. Yeah, we've got 2 shields still. I mean, I could just let this go. It's going to be a Poison Fang, probably. Just so they can get that extra damage there, but, you know, I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. There's not too much extra damage they can get whenever they're on 1 HP. And the opponent, like I said, fighting it to the bitter end, but we're just not going to give that win to them. Facing off against yet another legend player here. Let's see what they've got for us. Surely a spicy team, right? We've got a Toxapex lead, which is a good lead for us, and in comes Quagsire. This time, I don't stay in to chip it. I actually come into Azumaril. I think the reason I came into Azumaril here is because they have a Toxapex lead, so I don't want that to ever get lined up onto Toxapex in the wrong scenario. At the time I thought, oh, maybe I should have come into Cresselia, but I think this actually works out better because, of course, that was just my like instant reaction, like Azumaril save swap, and of course they have a poison in the lead, so I think that works out perfectly. We're going to get a shield off the opponent, which is quite surprising, and we're going to look to fire for the next move. The opponent's throwing an alignment here, which you'd love to see, which gives me a really good chance of flipping swap here. We're going to look to throw after 1, 3, and 5. They built up to the back-to-back. I think I definitely live this move, and I'm able to get off another one. So if the opponent wants to try and retain the switch, they actually come back in with Toxapex, so quite a nice catch. but all it's going to do is line up the Sand Slash and lock it in on this thing. And like, we actually still have our switch timer as well, so I'm just going to try to CMP on this move. The opponent wisely goes for the overfarm. Legend players do not try to get CMP too often, and that almost takes them out. And I think I was actually tempted to catch a move here, but it's really unnecessary. You're going to see how much damage this Brian's going to do. Not very much at all, right? Like, it's doing like 25-30%. We're just going to overfarm here and go for Drill Run. I think an Ice Punch would be enough at this range, but of course we're just making sure of the knockout. That definitely would have been enough for the Ice Punch. We're going to swap straight out, and this is a very, very sad little dragon hammerhead dinosaur thing with little red toenails. It's not going to be happy here. They do get the attack drop, of course, with their move, and I decide I'm going to just go YOLO for the Moonblast. The opponent's win conditions to call a bait, and they actually catch it in Quag, which is a really nice move. However, we're just going to farm it the whole way down, and it's going to be the same result. This thing is going to have to eat a Moonblast no matter what. They're going to get off another move, which I'm expecting to be a Breaking Swipe. However, this time it's a Night Slash, so that makes it a little bit more awkward, and they get the boost, so I'm going to have to fire for bait here. I think that's my win condition now. The opponent shields it, and we do just about make it to the Moonblast in time. So good games, well played. Good thing that Haxorus didn't get lined up under a Sand Slash. I don't like baiting that often, but sometimes in those certain scenarios, where if it's only possible for you to reach the move, if you bait, you sort of have to. And of course, it's up to the opponent to make a call. Am I baiting, or am I just trying to, YOLO the move straight away? Positive lead. However, I wasn't sure if the thing would be a Mystical Fire or not. They do swap out, which is a pretty decent indication that they're not on that move. And here we have the best Sheep Boy of them all, and the best Rabbit Boy of them all. And we're going to start firing off player offs. Definitely because we're just on even health and even energy. And like, because we're chipping them down with bubbles, we can just go for player off here. As you can see, these bubbles are really adding up on this thing. This thing might be just a really bad CP one. I feel like we've had so many opportunities to get this thing. Unfortunately, it's not spawning in GoFest. I feel like that would have been nice. I've got myself a hundo, actually. A lucky hundo, which is super nice. And I've got like a rank 100 or something, or like a rank 80. I've got like a rank 100 built, and I think I've got like a rank 70 or 80 just sitting there. So I'm pretty good for doubles at this point. But I feel like I'm getting a bubble break point, because like, as you can see, from the new and improved overlay, we're 0, 14, 15 here. It's not like I'm getting any break points, right? I decided to double shield here to try and fight for switch, which I don't know if that's the correct play or not. It's sort of awkward. Like, if they're not running wild charge, you really should be taking this matchup here. I guess maybe like I just shielded some of the wrong stuff or whatever. Like, yeah, I guess that's kind of what sort of caused that match. But we're gonna get a nice resisted farm down, and we'll see what the opponent has in the back. They come in with a Haxorus, and we're going to take a note. We're going to take a page out of Jamie Finn's book. Hello, Haxorus. Goodbye, Haxorus. And back in comes the Drift Bloom. Now, I shit my pants and swap into Cresselia because I thought it might be a Mystical Fire. So we're basically just going to see what they have here. They will get off a Shadow Ball, which will not one-shot Cresselia. This thing is super bulky. Does not give a shit about Shadow Balls. We're going to fire for the Moonblast, and we're going to look to see how much damage this does. I feel like, yeah, this is getting them pretty low now. They're sort of forced to throw a move, but I don't think they're going to throw a Shadow Ball. So this is the moment of truth here. Is it Mystical Fire? No, it's Icy Wind. The opponent does go for an undercharge here, and we're actually going to get off the next move, so it's pretty hard to farm down Cresselia, and you're seeing here, like, the opponent tried it, but it just did not work out for them. We won that on, like, 1 HP. Good games, very well played. So I think this is maybe, like, my second 5-0 here that we're watching. We get a Tentacle lead, really positive lead. You know, as you've seen, like, you know, some of these matches, I think I've probably included, like, maybe 60% bad leads in this video. I'm not too sure. But we are getting some very good leads with Sand Slash as well. So if you are thinking, like, maybe I should run Sand Slash, but, oh, there's all these counter leads. Like, you will get some really good leads with it as well. And actually, here's the thing that you have to think about. GoFest is happening right now, and what are people going to be running tomorrow? So carving, like, it's going to be everywhere. I think in research I got about 20 of them, which I stored actually. Here's a tip for carbink. If you don't have a good mega available to you on GoFest, any research carbink you get, just store it and wait for like a double catch candy event. And then I use a mega, like a rock type, like a Tyranitar, or of course like a Gardevoir for the fairy type. In any case, a rock or fairy level 3 mega, and then you'll get a far greater chance of getting XL candy off them. And of course, if it's a boosted event, you know, it's going to take a while to get 296 anyway, so you might as well store those up and make sure you're getting the most candy out of them. The only thing that would be probably recommended is having a look to see what's the bonus in the new season. If you want to get those traded, you might want to get those traded before the end of the season, because we've got a very good bonus this season of guaranteed XL candies for trading. I really hope they do keep that in place. And yeah, we're in a very good position here, by the way, with this Scrafty. One Moonblast basically takes them out because it's double super effective. Of course, Dark and Fighting. So good games well played. I didn't really comment on the last battle here, but I think it's definitely worth keeping in mind though. I think we have double transfer candy, so if you're not able to trade, the next spotlight arm coming up this Tuesday is double transfer candy, which is Tentacruel as well, speaking of which is extremely good for the Ultra League. And if it ever gets buffed, it could be very good for Great League as well, and it has been quite good in some limited metas. Now I think in this game, we make the correct move by not throwing the move on the Sandslash, just retaining it, and as you can see, that does quite a lot of damage. And either way, I guess you can chip it if you want to, because like, we need to throw two moves, so if you want to throw one in the Sandslash, one in the Cresselia, that's fine. But I think I prefer just throwing two moves with Cresselia here. But like I said guys, as you're seeing, these Thunderbolts are really adding up. Now at this point, like, if they shield, we have to shield back, and they can start going for Surfs. So this is exactly what I'm talking about in this situation. If you try to go for this overfarm, it can be a little bit tricky. I decided to let this go, because like, technically, oh okay, I thought I was going to live the move. But technically we can just farm this thing down, come out with an absolute ton of energy, and I think we're basically just hoping for no Medicham. I'm thinking, okay, this Sandslash is probably my win con here, right? So let me just try to shield this up. In does come Medicham, and we're in 1-to-1 shields. Back in comes Dragonair. So I was thinking like, we have Azumaril in the back for Dragonair, which is not going to be appreciating any player offs, and we can let a Body Slam go. A Psychic will do more damage, I believe. So we can let that go, and it means like, you know, it gives the opponent to go for a chance to go for a bait and stuff like that, which I can look to call. We do go for the player off, and the opponent's probably thinking, oh no, oh no, this is game over. I'm thinking this is a pretty safe shield right now, because all I need to do are a pretty safe no shield, because we can live the Psychic, and we have two moves stored on the Sandslash. So all we need to do is go back-to-back Drill Run at this point anyway. So all we need to do is get the shield, and we're going to swap out as soon as possible, get off Drill Run number 1, and of course if the opponent is at a move, which would not KO us anyway unless it's Dynamic Punch, which of course they're not going to be running. This is going to be a game over and well played to the opponent. So there we go, like, even though we got that bad alignment, we were able to store the energy, come into Azu, look to sort of flip script on it a little bit, and I'm including this match because I think this is a very, very important one to know about. We get a Bastion on lead. Now, there's no prizes for anybody who can guess what's in the back. Your first guess is correct, it is indeed going to be Victreebel and Medicham. So how should you play this match out with this team? So think about what we have here. We've got Azumaril, which is going to get absolutely ripped to shreds, right? By the Victreebel, but it's going to be good against the Medicham. And we have the Cresselia, which is good against Medicham, and also good against Victreebel. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go straight into this to make the opponent swap out. It actually is a Gourgeist in this particular occasion, which is a lot worse than Victreebel. But the thinking there is, the opponent's going to think, okay, they're just swapping into their hard answer, and we actually get a pretty lucky attack drop here on this thing as well, and we get off the next move before they get off a move. I think they would have been out of move by now, but we are getting off the second Moonblast here. But the thinking there, folks, is like, Victreebel in the back, right? We're going to swap into Cresselia, which is going to force them to swap, because like Cresselia hard counters Medicham, and that means we're going to get the Azumaril lined up on the Medi instead of the Victreebel. So I think LRL has worked out perfectly. We're just going to come back in with the Azu, and the opponent should see the writing on the wall here. I think they're going to fire for Psychic. I can just let this go. They could be on Power Punch, because they are quite often on Power Punch in the back. So by the looks of things, they're on Psychic and Power Punch. And as you can see, with Psychic and counters, we're not even into the yellow yet. We're still above 50% health. They've just got us into the yellow, so we can actually look to eat the next move. But I just think this is a very safe shield. There's no possible way they can get to a bait and a Psychic by the time I get to a player off. And yeah, of course Sandslash is close to a move as well. So like, worst comes to worst, I think Sandslash would be able to take it out here. So yeah, I think of course we're going to let this go now. And Sandslash is going to get to this move and take it out. So I think that was just a very safe shield. We're only one off the move. It actually got a lot closer than I thought it was going to get, because of course they're boosted, I think, with Pop. And, you know, maybe we should have just let that first move go. I think that would have been safer, but I just felt like, you know, this is perfectly fine. Just keep the health on Azu. Nothing really to lose here, but it did get very close. So maybe that's something to take into consideration. Then we get a pretty positive lead here. Once again, another legend player running some basic bitch meta line, which is probably what they used to climb with. And I mean, to be fair, like, you know, of course I'm just talking trash here, but like, you know, you should just use whatever you want. Like, I'm not actually hating on it, but I do think like whenever I'm in that position, I'm not going to be using Stunfisk and like any sweaty Pokemon. We'll see what they have in the back. They have Poliwrath, which I think, like, to be fair, that's pretty spicy, right? You know, it's definitely very strong. Poliwrath is strong, but I think it is spicy enough, you know, to the point where you can say, okay, they're enjoying themselves here a little bit. They're not enjoying this matchup though, because this can only throw resisted moves in Azu, and we can practically one-shot them with the player off, right? So we're going to look to throw after one for good timing. We're up to close to 100 energy, so we're going to start firing off moves. And I think this might not even one-shot. Yeah, so like, what I'm going to have to try and do here is go for the bubble down. As you can see, these bubbles are just really chunking here. Polygraph, you know, he's not enjoying this match too much at all. They're getting ramped up a decent amount, and they're actually coming back into Stunfisk. Now, I decide, because you're swapping back in to do this, I'm going to shield this up, get off the player off. Arguably, should be going for an undercharge here, and looking to bubble it down, but I just wanted to get rid of this thing, and look to to keep as much health and Azu as possible. I think that would have been the play, and in comes this thing. We're going to come straight into this boyo. I seen the rune Dragon Tail, and I'm like, okay boyo, Sonic the Hedgehog, it is time to come in here and just dump ice punches on this thing. Not very effective. Now, they will look to get the Dragon Tail down, but we're in a very, very dominant position now. The opponent's going to see the Cresselia, and they're going to be a very, very sad dinosaur once again, with their little red toenails and their little hammerhead. I feel like this is deja vu. What I decided to do first is come into Azumaril, force them to dump any Earthquake that they might have. It is serve, and at this point we can look to dump the player off, which of course will one-shot them, and then we have a full health Cresselia in the back, which is never a bad position to be in, against a Polygraph with 1 HP, who is firing off ice punches against Azumaril. Never a bad position to be in. I let them counter me a few times just to assert a dominance here, and that's a good game. That's a little bit trolly, but like, I feel like they could have just top left it, I don't know. It's not like they need the wins at this point. This is definitely a negative lead, I think, because of course Drill Run is super effective damage. I'm going to look too far off a move, and then look to catch the move, right? So I'm hoping that they're not an insta-throwing Andy here. I'm hoping they're good timing Andy, and they are. Fair play to the opponent, but the good thing about playing against good opponents here that throwing good timing is that it's a lot more predictable. If you're playing against opponents who don't do good timing, they just throw instantly, and it's hard to predict when they're going to throw. Now, what is pretty predictable here at this point is the fact that they're staying in, which gives me an indication that they may be weak to Azumaril, and maybe even Cresselia in the back. Now, we have seen some lines like this where it's like Dunsparce and two things that are weak to, let's say, like Noctowl and Lantern. What could that possibly be? Polygraph, perhaps? Could be a good call here. I decide, okay, I'm going to take this Drill Run, I'm going to get off the player off, and we're going to take switch advantage or 2 shields off the opponent. We take both shields off the opponent, which is insane, and we're not going to reveal our third Pokemon just yet, and we're going to look to CMP the opponent on the Ice Punch. We're just hoping this takes out, but I'm well aware that Polygraph is most likely coming in here. It is Medicham, and it is Gliscor, which is quite interesting. Now, we can go for Grass Knots. I think 2 Grass Knots is more efficient here because 1 Moonblast will not KO, and as you can see, that gets them into like pretty close to 50%. Now, what I decide here is that Night Slash is the hardest hitting move left in the game, so I'm going to shield this up. And I think I actually was reaching for the Moonblast, but for some reason or another, I second guess myself and go for Grass Knot because I thought, oh yeah, maybe this is enough to like get a slight farm down, which is so unnecessary. Look at this. It's going to allow the opponent to get off another move. But I think in either case, I'll be able to farm this the whole way down. And Night Slash coming through, it does hurt quite a lot. And then comes Medi. There's not really a move they can throw against us, which is threatening. This one move here is going to do about 60% damage, 65%. And at this point, a Grass Knot's going to look to take them out. All we need to do is realign and fire off an Ice Punch on the Gliscor, and that should be game over for them. Yep, so boom. I might not even need to swap out here. I'm just going to stay in and look to probably Grass Knot them or force them to throw a move. Because they're in Grass Knot range, of course, or just farm down range. If they throw a Night Slash, I can just swap in and just instantly farm it down. So very, very good games. 5-0. And that's putting us in a really good position. Is this the set? Okay, that's 27-25 right there. So that's going to get us up to very close. Typically, the most you can get for a 5-0 is 75. Let's have a look here. 27.99 clickbait video. This is not 2800 ELO. 27.99. I am so sorry, I lied to you, but I'm sure you enjoyed the video anyway. If you did, hit that like button, drop a subscribe to the channel, it's very much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel, it's very much appreciated and absolutely free. Helps me make videos, and if you're looking for some help in the Catch Cup, drop a comment down below or join our Discord in the description down below. Also, you can see on the bottom right, I've got a Twitter. Feel free to follow me. I'll be posting, and I have already posted, some photos from GoFest, so feel free to check those out. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a fantastic rest of your day.